The smell of industrial lemon cleaner and old bleach. That was the scent of my childhood. It was the scent of my father. He was a janitor at the local high school. My high school. While other kids' dads were lawyers, doctors, or engineers, my dad was the guy pushing the mop bucket down the hallway during third period. I spent my entire teenage years trying to be invisible. If I saw him coming down the corridor, I would duck into a bathroom or pretend to be deep in conversation, turning my back so he wouldn't wave at me. I remember my graduation day vividly. It wasn't because of the diploma or the speech I gave as valedictorian. It was because of the argument. Dad showed up in his work uniform, a gray jumpsuit with his name, Thomas, stitched in red over the pocket. He had tried to put a blazer over it, but he still looked like, well, a janitor. Couldn't you have just changed? I hissed at him in the parking lot, my face burning with shame as my friends walked by. I came straight from a double shift, Marcus, he said softly, his eyes looking tired. I didn't want to miss your speech. You embarrassed me, I said. Those were the last words I spoke to him face to face for 5 years. I moved to the city the next week. I wanted to reinvent myself. I became Marcus the architect, the self-made man. I told my colleagues my father was retired and lived in Florida. I buried the truth of the lemon cleaner and the gray jumpsuit. When he called, I let it go to voicemail. When he sent letters, I skimmed them and tossed them in a drawer. I was busy building a life that looked perfect on the outside. Then came the call. It wasn't from him. It was from the hospital. A heart attack. Sudden, massive. I flew back home for the funeral, feeling a strange mix of guilt and numbness. The service was small, mostly other custodial staff and a few neighbors. Afterward, I went to his small one-bedroom apartment to clear it out. I wanted to get it over with quickly so I could get back to my real life. The apartment was exactly as I remembered, sparse, clean, and smelling faintly of lemon. He didn't have much. A cracked leather armchair, a small TV, and shelves full of books. I started tossing things into black trash bags. Old clothes, newspapers, chipped mugs. Then I looked under his bed and found a rusty metal lockbox. I assumed it would be full of old coins or maybe family photos. I pried the lid open with a screwdriver. Inside there were no photos. There was just a stack of paper neatly tied with twine and a ledger book. I untied the stack. They were receipts. Hundreds of them. I picked up the first one. It was a bank transfer receipt dated 6 years ago. Recipient the Horizon Scholarship Fund. I frowned. The Horizon Scholarship. That was the prestigious grant I had won to pay for my architecture degree. It was a full-ride scholarship given to exceptional students from low-income backgrounds. I had bragged about it for years. I thought I had earned it with my grades. I opened the ledger. My dad's shaky handwriting filled the pages. August 12th. Picked up night shift at the hospital. Sent $800 to the fund. September 4th. Sold the old truck. Sent $2,200 to the fund. October 10th, Marcus called today. He sounded happy. Worth the double shift. My hands started to shake. I flipped through the pages, my breath catching in my throat. There were entries for every month of my college life. January, skipped lunch for 3 weeks. Sent $200 February. Fixed Mr. Henderson's roof on the weekend. Sent $500. I reached the bottom of the box and found a letter from the university, addressed to my father. Dear Mr. Miller, per your request, we will continue to list the tuition payments under the anonymous Horizon grant so that your son, Marcus, remains unaware of the source. Your balance is paid in full. I dropped the letter. The silence in the apartment was deafening. I had spent my life ashamed of him. I thought he was a man with no ambition, a man who settled for mopping floors. I didn't realize that every floor he mopped, every toilet he scrubbed, every double shift he worked until his back broke and his heart gave out, it was all for me. He didn't just pay for my school, he bought my pride. He knew that if I knew the money came from his sweat, I would have felt the burden. So he let me believe I was a genius. He let me believe I did it all on my own. He let me treat him like a stranger while he quietly built the foundation of my entire life. I looked around the empty, cheap apartment. It wasn't empty because he was poor. It was empty because he had given everything away. I sank to the floor, clutching the ledger to my chest, and for the first time in years I cried. I didn't cry for the architect I had become. I cried for the janitor I never thanked. I kept the gray jumpsuit. It hangs in my office now, right next to my diploma. And whenever a client asks about it, I tell them the truth. I tell them it belonged to the greatest man I ever knew.